Good afternoon and welcome back to St Albans. This is Abel, by the way. This is my cat. He is 12 years old. He likes to get involved when we're in the garden, which is where I am today because it's actually quite a nice day today. Completely blue skies, although we don't get a lot of... Oh, the other cat's just come out to join us as well. We don't get a lot of sun in the garden this time of year, but coming up. Coming in. This is the other one. This is Rebel. She's 5. My phone just fell out of my pocket. So, since it's a nice day today, I thought what I would do is spend a bit of time in the garden talking to you about some of the seeds that we're going to sow in January. So actually this year is the first year that we have ever put together a kind of calendar, a proper calendar. We're not that organised about it usually, but I thought this year I'd give it a go. We've done it online, we've done it in Google Calendar, and the reason for that is because if something works really well, then we can just copy it over to the next year really easily without having to rewrite everything out. So that's what we've done. We'll let you know how we get on with it, whether we stick to it or not, but in the meantime, that's what we're doing. So for the first week of January, this is already gone, so the first week of January we sowed some chilies. So I've already sown 2 types of chilies. Well, they're both Cayennes, so some are from Sutton, so they're just regular Cayennes, and then I've also sown an F1 variety as well from Thompson and Morgan. I can't find the packet for that, but they didn't give us many seeds in the packet at all, not even enough to fill a whole module, which is quite annoying, so less than 10 seeds, but they have actually already started to germinate, so I'm not going to complain too much. The regular ones from Sutton's, they haven't started to germinate yet, but there's loads of time. I only did them like 6 days ago, so I'm not getting too concerned about it yet, and plus obviously it's January, very early. And then the other thing that I've already sown this week, in the first week of January, there is a cat hair flying around, so I'm sorry if that keeps flying in front of the lens, is Aubergine Melonzana Black Beauty from Frankie Seeds. Frankie are extremely generous with the seeds that they put in their packets, so I'm really happy to always get from them if I can. But yeah, we've also sown some aubergines as well, which have absolutely shot off. I think maybe 4 of those have come up already, and they were done at the same time as the Cayenne. Half of them were done kind of on the surface of the soil, of the compost, with a little sprinkling of compost on top of that, and then the other half were done a little bit deeper into the compost, which is what I normally do, just to kind of see how they get on and whether we have any issues with them being too close to the surface or anything. But the ones that were close to the surface seem to have worked really well, so I'm probably going to do that going forward if we don't have any further issues with them. Last year we grew some aubergines, but they were the wrong type, so they grew really well. It's the first year that we ever had successful aubergines. We had quite a few plants of them. I did them probably around early February, and they worked really well, but they were these ones. They were the early long purple type, and they were just too difficult to cook with. They were really long and slender, and although they worked really well in terms of like growing them, we found them really difficult to cook with. So we just want some of the normal ones, which is hopefully what the Black Beauty ones will give us this year. So the reason that we're doing them this early is just because summer was so bad last year. We want to make sure that we have given the plants enough time to mature and get kind of nice and strong, ready for the summer. And if it's a crap summer, then hopefully they'll be a little bit ahead of the game for any times when we do have any nice hot weather. Or it could just be a brilliant summer and then we don't have anything to worry about. So we are also planning to do a few more later sowings towards the end of winter, just as kind of backups, but hopefully these ones will be okay. And then this week, what we haven't actually done yet, but we wanted to do, is 2 more types. So just to get something in the ground that's going to be quite quick to harvest, I want to get some radish in the ground. So these ones are just from Wilco. Have to be careful again because I opened this packet badly. But they are just radish sparkler 3, so little red ones, which will just be a nice quick crop to get into the ground to get something growing in plot 12. And then the other thing we want to get done this week, because we have really struggled with this every single year of having Allotment, the cats are flying underneath my legs, is leeks. So we're going to sow leek Musselburgh this week. These are from Wilco's as well, and we'll see how we get on. And then we've got quite a few different varieties for later in the year that we'll sow as well, but we want to just get some going now to try and give us a bit of a head start this year, so that we can maybe get some leeks this year, because we haven't actually managed to harvest any so far since having an allotment, despite the fact that we have 2 reasonable sized full plots. And then the week after that, we want to sow some onions. The only seeds that we have of onions are Ailsa Craig, not Elisa Craig, which is what I keep saying, Ailsa Craig, which are just apparently big white onions, and you can sow them from indoors from January apparently. So towards the end of January we're going to do these ones, and maybe next week or the week after. And yeah, we've not really been super successful at growing onions from seed. From sets, absolutely fine, but from seed we haven't been great. But then we also have been too regimented in making sure we get them in the ground at the right time, and also obviously with being flooded last year, everything kind of went to hell really, trying to get stuff in at the right times. We were really lucky with the chilies because they could stay in pots for a long time, but the onions and the leeks and all that kind of thing, they just ended up being in pots for way too long, and then it just didn't work. So hopefully this year, now that we have plot 12, despite anything that happens to plot 79, hopefully we'll actually get some successful crops this year. And then the other thing that we want to do towards the end of January, next week hopefully, is just some lettuce. So lettuce Lola Bionda. Love these tongue twisters while I'm trying to record it. But these apparently can be grown from February, so we're going to do some towards the end of January. And there's an insane amount of seeds in here, so it doesn't really matter if it doesn't work. These are from Thompson and Morgan as well, and they were what we were growing in one of the big beds. I'll try and put some footage on the screen if I have any of it, maybe from the plot tour of plot 79 from way back when, but that is what we were growing in one of the beds just before we flooded, and they were doing really well, and they weren't touched by slugs or anything. It's a real shame to lose them, but hopefully we'll be able to get those to grow again. And if they don't work, it's not such a big deal. We've got loads of different types of lettuce seeds that we can try, and we'll just keep continually trying those throughout the year. Worst case, we'll just do it at the same time that we did the other ones on plot 79 towards the end of the year, and then we'll just get some towards the end of the year. Cat's going through the cat flap. And then that's kind of it for January. Not doing loads, although obviously some of this is quite early, especially for the chilies and the aubergines. But we have limited space upstairs. It's a pretty good setup actually that we have in my office for growing stuff. We have some lights, and we have quite a few, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights with trays underneath, and they all have a heat mat as well, and it gets really nice and toasty in my office because it's a south facing window, so on days like today when there's lots of sun, it's a really good place to be growing stuff. But we also don't want to overdo it because obviously at some point these are going to need potting on, so that's why we're doing things week by week. So hopefully when some things are ready to be potted on, there'll be space, and then as those things kind of get too big, they can hopefully go outside, or at least into one of the greenhouses at the allotment. We'll see what spring does. If we have an April like last year where it was frosty all of April, probably not so possible, but if it's a nice warm spring with not too many frosts, then we can take everything down to the plot, and then we'll have some space to do the sowings that we want to do month by month. And it does get busier in the calendar as well. January is quite quiet, February is a little bit busier, and then March and April, the calendar looks pretty crazy already, and I haven't completely finished doing stuff. I don't think I've finished putting all the beans and stuff in there yet. But yeah, that's kind of what we want to do. And then I think right at the end of January, start of February, we're going to do some peas as well. It might be too early to do those for actual peas, but we could do 2 lots, one for trying to get peas off of them, and then the other lot we can try to do for pea shoots and stuff like that. And then the other thing as well that we're going to do this month, because we have a lot of old seeds, so I've been going through all the seeds that we have in our packet, in our cartridge holder things, and going through all the ones that are either expired or about to expire, and then or all the ones that we've just got ridiculous amounts of seed of. Like we have so much bolt hardy beetroot because it was in the sale in Wilkinson's and Wilco, I think it's called now, not Wilkinson's. Yeah, we just have an insane amount because we just got loads. So going to use some of this for microgreens hopefully as well, and that can just sit on a shelf in the office for now, and as we need some space they can just come out and we can just use them, so hopefully that will work out quite well. So we've got some beetroot in here, we've got some chard, spring onions, kale, old cauliflower, lettuces, an actual pack of proper microgreens, which I think is just chard, and then some rocket and lamb's lettuce, more chard, more kale, and a few peas as well. So hopefully we will be able to get those to work as microgreens, because I bought some more trays for that as well, which fit nicely upstairs. And we have some compost here, so that'll be the next thing that we do, I think. And then definitely need to get these leeks and these radishes in. Well, the radishes are less important, but the leeks, I really want to get some leeks in 2022. It'll be amazing. But yeah, that is what we're going to be growing in January, and I think we'll do a similar video in February and probably March as well, as we finalise the things that we decide we want to grow. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it gave you a bit of an idea of the sort of things that we're growing and why we're doing things as early as we are. Hopefully it will work, but we'll find out. So from me, Sergio, Poppy and the cats, take the very best of care, and we'll see you again soon. Bye. I have an F1 variety. I think a cat might be about to come out and join us. Good afternoon. Oh, my voice is going.